is Keely and I'm the owner and creator here at Soy and Shea, and thank you so much for joining me for another soap making video. Now when I started doing the gemstone soaps, I had people writing to me with all sorts of different requests for different gemstones, and this is one of them. Today we're going to be making Mookaite, which is the 4th of the September gemstones to be released this month, and they are now all available on the website. But for now, let's go and see how I make it. Okay, so let's get into this soap. I am going to be doing a layered soap today, but I'm not splitting off the colours for the layers because we're also putting through a hanger swirl. So I actually do want my layers to mingle together and not be set up as I pour each one. I've just poured my sodium hydroxide distilled water solution into my oils. I'm going to give it a quick mix and then we're going to split it up for 3 colours. So the 3 colours I am using today are this was some chartreuse mica. So I'm going to pour off a fair amount of that for now, then we'll finish splitting it later. I have got some grandeur gold mica in this one. And then for my final colour, I've actually mixed a couple here. I've got some vintage rose mica, and I've also added in a little bit of twilight purple into there as well, just to really bring it out. That vintage rose is not the best for cold process soap making. It's not the strongest of colours, but it kind of adds that real mauve look that I am wanting to complement the stones that we're using today. I'm just going to get this evenly split out between these jugs, or as even as I can. I'm going to mix my colours in, then we'll come back and put our fragrance in. Okay, so the fragrance I am using today is called Raspberry Dream, and it has notes of blueberry, raspberry, buttermilk, strawberry, vanilla and malt. Now it does have 1.48% vanillin in it, so it is going to darken these colours up a little, but I am fine with that because it should make these some beautiful shades of colour. I went with this fragrance oil mainly because the notes of this one really matched in with the colours of the stones. Now it doesn't necessarily match in with anything else to do with it. Now that's gone milky, so I need to make sure that that is not going to rice in here. Hopefully it doesn't. It has loosened it up, which is absolutely lovely here. It is known as the, well, what I should actually say is the stone that we are actually working with is a Mookaite, and it is the stone of bold beauty, and it's a nurturing stone that is great for use during stressful times as it can bring peace and wholeness. It is great in aiding decision making and with accepting change, especially change that has to be made through that decision making. It's related to the heart, solar plexus and base chakra, and is representative of the Virgo and Scorpio zodiac signs, and it has an earth element to it, but I couldn't find what planet it is actually associated with. I will keep researching, and if I can find it I'll put it up on the screen for you. Now generally this Mookaite comes in some gorgeous colours, which we will get into once it comes time to popping our stones on the soap. I am going to start with my green, and then we'll do a layer of our yellow and finish off with that mauvey colour. Let me finish getting this mixed in, then we will grab our mould. We're going to pour it in layers and then put the hanger through it as well. just done a very simple spoon top on here. It is still really fluid. I don't want actual peaks on here. I want it just to be a nice texture and the colors to be all mingled in with each other. I'm gonna leave it sit here for about 10 minutes, let this really set up so our stones don't sink, and then we'll be back to have a look at the stones and find out where we can where they're actually mined and a little bit about their history. Here is our Mookaite that we're going to be adding onto our soap here, and you can see why I've picked the colours I did and also chose to do it in layers. There are very distinct layers of colour on these stones here, so I just thought that would complement it perfectly, and hopefully I'll get some, as this darkens a little, I'll get these darker shades of purple, these darker greens and yellows as well. Now the Mookaite here, this is a jasper, and it has been named after the region in which it's found, which is Mooka Creek, which means running water, and it is a area of the Kennedy Ranges in Western Australia, and that is the only place that this rock is actually found, and it is a form of sedimentary fossilized rock, and it's formed over, well, they reckon over 125 million years. That is just how old these are, and they've been formed from the remains of skeleton remains of little microorganisms that once lived in the water. Australia actually used to be covered mainly with water, and as that water has receded, we've had lots of places where these sort of rocks and things have formed, and these little microscopic organisms lived in the water, and as that water has receded, they've mixed in with silica and other sort of minerals, and that's what gives it these earthy colors and formed into these rocks. So because these have actually been formed because of skeleton remains, on occasion, but it is very rare because they were so microscopic, as in the creature, you may find that little fossils in them. And when you do find the fossils or the remains of the creatures that make these stones up, the stone suddenly increases in value. There are 3 classifications of this stone. There's chert, opalite and chalcedony, and again that chalcedony is part of the quartz family, and those 3 categories, or how it's categorized into those sort of 3 areas, is dependent upon how much silica is in it. Now most of the Mookaite stones that you are going to get your hands on are those chalcedony ones, because if there is not enough in there, so especially that chert and opalite, they will actually break upon touch because they are really brittle, so they can't even polish them if there is not enough silica in them to hold them in their shapes. Now there's not a lot out there about these stones in terms of history, because it is mainly actually found in Australia, so there would be some sort of Aboriginal sort of folk time stories, but I was unable to find any on here. But I do know that they have highly valued this stone over the years and have strong beliefs in its healing power, and they call it the Mother Earth stone, and it was first mined in the 1960s. There are many spelling variations of this stone. Some call it Mook Jasper, Mookalite, but according to the locals who actually named this stone, the spelling of this this particular jasper is the way that I have spelt it in the title of this video. So other than that, there is not much more to do with the history of these stones, but they are extremely pretty, and I'm really loving how the colors are coming together. Let's get this last one in here. We'll make sure that we are all lined up. A couple of these stones were a little bit bigger than I had actually intended, but they are so pretty, and it is actually a requested stone that I do as part of my gemstones, so I thought, why not? Let's get those in there. So I'm going to leave this one sit overnight. We'll be back in just a minute and we'll see what swirls and layers we've got on the inside of this soap. So I am really excited to cut into this soap. This end doesn't look like much, but when you flip it over to this end, that is looking really interesting. It's really strong in smell. That raspberry has really popped through into this one. It's just so fun, and it kind of reminds me of a real Aussie summer, which I think goes really well with this. Let's get cut through and we'll see what we've got on the inside. Well, this is very, very interesting. I have completely lost the layers in that, but that is absolutely stunning how that has swirled together. And I think those colours, let me grab this one from in here, the colours just match in perfectly. You can see on that particular rock there, we've got that bit of whitey sort of colour, which is this sort of pale colour in here. Then you've got that mauve and that sort of yellowy colour as well. I am really, really liking, oh wow, how this has come together. Yes, I've lost the layers that I was trying to put in there, but I think that this fragrance oil actually, although it looked like it thickened, it then went thin again. So by the time I got those layers poured in and then put the hanger through, it was just so fluid that we got these stunning swirls go through it. I am really actually quite pleased with it, even though it's not those layers. I think it has worked really, really well. And I do think those colours are absolutely perfect for the stones on the top there. So I'm going to be very interesting to see how much this one darkens up over its 4-week cure process. If you also want to know how it does, come and follow me over on Instagram, and I will post pictures of this one once it has finished its cure process, so you can actually see how much darker this one goes and whether we get that sort of darker green that I was hoping to match in with some of those other gemstones there. So I hope you have enjoyed watching how I made my Mookaite gemstone soap. If you did, why not leave me a thumbs up and any comments down below. And until the next video comes out, I hope you have a great one, and I will see you then. Bye.